voice of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on, how do we describe it? Tornado Thursday? Whew. I will say this. The weather people were calling all this as early as Sunday. And they got this one right, sadly. By the way, a little nod of the cap, tip of the cap, whatever you want to call it, to the television weather people here in town. They may have saved some lives with the work that they did, and the equipment that they are using is really good. And they, at times, spot things quicker than the National Weather Service does. Anyway, there will actually be a segment in the 4 o'clock hour about what we're dealing with and how possibly it would intertwine with sports talk radio. Hello, Kelly Holcomb in Murfreesboro. Did I hear right? Y'all didn't get much of anything last night?
We didn't get a drop of rain. It's crazy. I've never seen. I was watching. Now last night we woke up at 2:45 to a phone call. My daughter at Lipscomb, and that thing was barreling down on her, and they made everybody evacuate Lipscomb, and there was a bunch of people went to Allen Arena. There was a place at Lipscomb where they showed a video where there were some kids walking down a hall and water was gushing. It just started gushing in the. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And the way that this storm is going, like I guess the southerly wind is taking it from us and it's like skimming us, but it's staying right on top of y'all, which I don't understand. I thought it was going to come our way, and we didn't get seriously. I mean, it thundered, it lightninged. We got some bad wind, but other than that, man, we didn't get a drop of rain. Crazy.
So around 2:20, they issue a tornado warning that feels like it's headed right toward me.
Yeah, I was worried about y'all, man. I texted y'all this morning. I was thinking about y'all. I didn't know if y'all were up or what.
You know, if it happens again, I'm going to call you at like 2:20. I'm going to give it a, Ellie, what do I do? I wonder how that would work. It's really pretty amazing, and we'll get into all of it later. We will do a segment in the 4 o'clock hour that I hope every last one of you will pay attention to. It looks like there's more of this coming tonight. And what's bad is the secondary problem. I mean, it's bad enough.
Yeah, we've already got a lot of water now.
Yeah,
I mean,
the tornado stuff is bad enough, and it's a killer, as we have found out. But the flash flood thing, then is the next problem.
That's the issue now. And obviously, there's still more tornado threats tonight. But just driving in here, going through Belmead, West Meade area, there's a lot of water.
Yeah.
I saw where they were saying on the TV that there's some places in these areas that could get 15 plus inches of rain. That's unbelievable.
I mean, it goes back to the Great Flood in 2010.
Yeah.
And Kelly, the night of the flood, I was at the Jimmy Buffett concert, and they did an intermission, and Mayor Carl Dean got up. He was there and said, some of y'all need to think about going home. This is getting really serious. Well, my group didn't, and we had the joyride of a lifetime getting home.
Can't imagine, man. I just remember seeing that right before you hit Briley Parkway, that low dip in the interstate on 24. I can remember seeing those cars going through it, and it was taking cars away, and I'm like, it's crazy. I mean, it rained up here too then, but like, I just was shocked last night because I was expecting stuff. I got up. I don't ever do that because my wife, wives they're warriors, and I actually got up and I said, this looks pretty bad, like the way it was coming, and I thought it was going to come our way, but it never did.
Yeah. Wow. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Okay, Billy, let's get to the update. In spite of the weather, we got a really good show today.
Yeah, it's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladieusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. Obviously, we've got the Final Four on Saturday, and it just came out of San Antonio from the Auburn practice today that just 4 days after suffering an elbow injury in the Tigers' win over Michigan State, Janai Broome said he'll be ready to go with no limitations on Saturday against Florida.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I would assume unless you could see a bone sticking out that he was going to play. Now, that said,
the no limitations part,
yeah, who knows? Look, I think he's been playing on one leg for a while now. I think this kid's a warrior.
Yeah, he spent this week in rehab. His first practice back was today since suffering the injury. So we've got practice going on there in San Antonio with all the teams there. Some racing news. With all this weather, if you forgot, the season opening racing for Kelly just got an alert.
I mean, good gracious, dude. I mean, Danielle, she started at 2:45 in the morning, and she has not stopped.
What is her alert? And by the way, if anything really serious happens during the broadcast, we got a TV on over here. We'll try to keep you updated.
Thunderstorm warning.
Sounds like my phone at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But so the season opening racing schedule for tomorrow and Saturday at the Fairgrounds Speedway has been postponed, which isn't a surprise. More rain in the forecast tomorrow, thunderstorms Saturday, and they've moved it to April 17th through the 19th here in a couple of weeks. Mike Organ breaking that and with the Tennesseans. So we've got that. And unfortunately, the Belmont Lady Bruins took a loss last night to Minnesota in the WBIT title game last night, 75-63. So the Bruins season is done, but a great year for Bart Brooks and company. So I'm sure they'll be back.
Bart's a good man. I'm happy for him. That's good stuff.
Also, some Vol Network news. We know about Mike Keith, but who's going to be his color analyst? Well, it was announced today ahead of the first season for Mike Keith there in the booth. Ramon Foster, former Vol, also played with the Steelers. He will be the color analyst alongside Mike Keith. Brent Hubbs, who does a really good job, and Jason Swain will continue to be part of the broadcast there on the Vol Network.
Okay.
So
good luck to Ramon Foster.
Okay, in the NBA, this was a couple of days ago, but forgot to get to it. Grizzlies guard Ja Morant and Warriors guard Buddy Hield were both issued warnings for mimicking shooting a gun during Tuesday night's games. The NBA ruled that the celebrations were not intended to be violent, but were deemed inappropriate.
Oh, I'll take it a step farther. Given what Ja Morant, given the trouble he's had, stupid, dumb. What are you doing?
They're young. They're young guys. They don't think about that stuff. You have to get older to think about that stuff.
He's already been
okay. I mean, but it's not like he hasn't already. They haven't already dropped the hammer on him for.
I agree, but you just don't think about things sometimes when you're young.
Dumb.
You should. You absolutely should, and he should with the trouble that he's been in. There's no doubt about that.
Speaking of trouble, the Braves stay in trouble. They lose to the Dodgers last night. Shohei Ohtani knocks a walk-off out of the park, and the Braves fall to 0-7. And, George, no team that had started 0-7 has ever made the playoffs.
Yeah. So,
your silence speaks volumes, Hoss.
Oh, it does.
Did you know that?
No, I did not. And
that's a little surprising.
I'll say this. I wouldn't rule out that they make the playoffs, but I keep up pretty damn close. I know what's going on.
Liberty Media.
You're damn right it is. And we're going to talk with Danny Evans about it today at 3:20. The quicker they get rid of Liberty Media. Look, the thing I'm going to say to Danny is I get the fact they don't want to pay luxury tax. But let's not act like you have not been blessed with 37,000 people per game for the last couple of years since you won it all. If they were having attendance problems and money trouble, I would understand it, but they're not. They're greedy. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Meanwhile,
Anytime.
former Vandy pitcher Jack Leiter is now 2-0 to start the season after a win over the Reds last night. So good start for Leiter. Also in the NFL, the Patriots traded Joe Milton and a 7th-round pick to the Cowboys in exchange for a 5th-round pick in this year's draft. Cowboys, of course, needed a backup after Cooper Rush left for the Ravens, and they've got Bazooka Joe.
Can I be ugly here?
Go ahead.
Please
The
do.
Cowboy roster has a guy named Dak Prescott as the starter. And then behind him, now that Cooper Rush has left, are Trey Lance, who can't hit the broadside of a barn, and Joe Milton, who tries to grab the sawdust out of it and at times cannot hit the broadside of a barn. What are the Cowboys doing?
I don't know.
Jerry Jones. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was or this morning that was a Cowboys fan, and like Jerry Jones just like he likes Trey Lance. Well, it's okay if you like him, but Trey Lance has already shown that he's not what you want in this league. You have to be able to make plays, and as a quarterback, you have to be able to make throws, and he can't do that. I don't know how many more times you got to see it.
Well,
and then Joe Milton. What a rookie last year. Like we saw him at UT. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He played good that last year that he played. I don't know, man. He's a head scratcher. Jerry Jones is. When he got rid of Jimmy Johnson years and years and years ago, that was kind of the downfall of what they're going through now.
Jimmy. So he also came out a couple of days ago with this lengthy deal about his negotiations with Micah Parsons. And after reading that's 3 minutes of my life I'll never get back. I'm like, what the hell is he trying to say? More and more, when I hear quotes from Jerry Jones, I don't know. I'm wondering if he's losing it.
George, he wants to be. He's just like all these kids I talk about at the end of games. They want to be the reason. He wants to be the reason why they're winning. That's all he cares about. That's why Jimmy Johnson left. I'll never forget when he says he thinks he knows more football than me, and he don't. I mean, that's true.
Jimmy.
Some
college news. Tulane quarterback T.J. Finley was arrested for allegedly stealing a car. He's facing charges of illegally possessing stolen items worth more than $25,000. The school has decided to suspend him. And if you forgot, TJ Finley has now been at LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, and now Tulane.
And so he is a finalist for the J.T. Daniels Award.
No, he's the winner. I mean, no.
Because that's 5 for him. JT only went to 4, correct?
Well, he's on his 6th. He's in his 6th year on his 6 different teams.
No, wait a minute. I'm counting them up. That's 5.
That's 5. Yeah, you said 5. I think he stayed at LSU for 2.
No,
maybe.
LSU, Auburn, Texas State.
Oh, he went to Auburn. Okay.
Okay,
Are you having trouble adding to 5?
I put Texas and State together, so it's actually 5. My bad.
Texas State
Penitentiary.
Well, there was a time where I thought it was. Yeah.
Hey, they got nice facilities at Texas State now. They got a program in that Group of 5 deal.
Here's the maximum security ward.
All right, we're still trying to figure out who Texas A&M is going to hire on the basketball front. But according to Pete Nakos of On3, another name that has come up today is Chris Mack.
Yeah.
Obviously just wrapped up his first year at College of Charleston. Was in the discussion for Vanderbilt going back a year ago. What would you think about that? That'd be interesting.
They could do worse. Look, Chris Mack is a very legit D1 coach. Did a wonderful job at Xavier. I don't pretend to know all the ins and outs of what went on at Louisville. But I mean, we've allowed Rick Pitino back into the mix. Why not?
Mac will get back to the Power Four here eventually.
Which would then lead to Mac is back.
Mac is back.
Thank you.
That's what I got.
Gosh.
Kind of
At least we didn't get to hear the Third Reich today. At least we didn't have an update on Frank Reich. Good gracious.
Yeah, I'm going to purposely not bring up.
Yeah,
Frank
please
Reich
don't do that
anymore.
ever again. So we have to hear that one more time, Billy.
Come up with something original.
If I never heard that again, it would be too soon. Good gracious.
Did I hear you who steal everybody else's stuff? You just uttered what? What did you just say?
Me?
Yeah.
Come
What did you
up
just say?
with something original.
Wow. Is that not the pot calling the kettle black? After the break, the debut of the one and only, the best, Danny Evans, talking baseball on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Hey, this is Andrew Allegretta, voice of Vanderbilt baseball. Hope you can join us this weekend as the Vandy boys hit the road, head to Gainesville. Vanderbilt versus Florida. All 3 games on 102.5 The Game.
Vanderbilt Athletics lives here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are awaiting a visit from Danny Evans. Kelly, during the commercial break, out here in Bellevue, West Nashville, about 3 different claps of thunder that you could hear in here. Huge.
Shook the building.
Yeah.
That stuff's scary,
So-
man. You can't do anything with Mother Nature, man. It's just when it gets to rolling like that, good gracious.
Boy, we have seen some stuff and heard some stuff in the last day or so that is downright scary.
We got a lot rolling through Centerville right now, Santa Fe area, Bon Aqua Junction. Looks like it's coming up right toward Franklin and Bellevue once again.
Well, listen to our new little staff meteorologist.
Hey,
Very impressive.
it's the time to be doing it.
Well, we're also in a little bit of a 4-corner stall since Danny is not with us. So let me just, while we stall around here, Kelly, tell you that I'm not a real happy baseball camper.
Did you think that they were going to start out like this, George? Did you have a feeling that they would start out this way?
I knew it was not going to be easy because they were going to open. I mean, the schedule.
You start with the Padres and Dodgers. That's
4 in San Diego, 3 in LA. I would have taken 3 and 4 and never played it. But the real truth is, the real truth is that they, in my opinion, at the moment, are at least 1 starting pitcher short. They are at least 1 good reliever in their bullpen short. And they're playing a bunch of junk in their outfield.
Really?
Yeah, with this Jurickson Profar thing. And let me say this, okay? Jurickson Profar can put out all that crap he wants to about how I would never do anything to hurt the integrity of the game. It was a fertility drug. Hello? I mean, really, am I supposed to buy that? I mean,
when people say stuff like that, when they talk themselves up, that means probably they're that guy, they're that way. I don't understand, like, it's kind of what happened in the the home run stuff and all the steroid stuff, man. Just come out and I did it. I mean, I know that, I played with a guy a long time ago, George, that he actually won a World Series with the Marlins a long time ago, but he was telling me, like, back in the day when everybody was doing that, he was like, dude, if you didn't do it, man, you couldn't compete in this league. And he's like, 85 to 90% of everybody was taking it.
Oh, and I think that's true back when all of this really hit.
Yeah.
And the players union fought. They fought Major League Baseball, and they fought everywhere they could that there would not be drug testing, while all the other leagues had already gotten to that point. And finally, the stench of Sosa, McGuire, all of this stuff got so bad that they really got forced into it, kind of kicking and screaming. So, I mean, that's fine that the Padre former players, the players that he used to play with in San Diego have all come out in support of him. That's wonderful. But he's an Atlanta Brave getting paid a lot of money, and he is dumped all over his team.
Yeah. What is the what in your opinion is the problem right now, George? I know you said they didn't feel like they had any juice. Like, what's the problem? I mean, is hitting, pitching? What is it?
Right now, it feels like it's everything, but
Yeah.
I'll go back through this. They had a scenario. Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic wrote a terrific piece about the trouble they're in right now. And it started with a reliever named Jeff Hoffman, who they wanted to sign and kind of turn him into Ronaldo Lopez Part 2. One of the things I'm going to say to Danny when we get him on, Billy, give me a signal. Does it look like we're getting him? Doesn't look like we're getting him. Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, just tried calling him and did not get an answer.
Did not get him.
Not like Danny.
Happened. Yeah, because that's not like Dan Paul.
Yeah,
So basically, first of all, my opinion is that the Atlanta Braves have the very best general manager in baseball in Alex Anthopoulos. Good Greek boy. It's not because he's Greek. It's because this guy knows what in the heck he's doing. I have thought now for months that that he was given a mandate to keep them under the luxury tax payroll, because I don't fully understand the thing, but once you get a payroll to like $243 million, I think I'm right that every dollar after that you get taxed on.
Oh, really?
So he has been, in my opinion, being the good company man and saying, if to improve this team, we have to go over the luxury tax, we'll do it. Well, I think he's covering for the Liberty Media stuff that's been going on. When you look at them, they did nothing in free agency until right at the end with Jerks and Profar. And then that sort of spawned a series of bargain basement kind of stuff. Alex Verdugo, Craig Kimbrell, Nashvilleian James McCann. It looks like everything that's going on with that franchise is based on money. And look, there were times in the past where I would get it, where the Braves maybe didn't have the money. This is a team that won it all 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. And since that time, they've been averaging about 37,000 a night at that beautiful new ballpark. It is not as though they are lacking for money. This is simply a greedy Liberty Media wanting the last dollar they can get. That's
Really?
my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not happy about it. They don't give a damn about their fans. A little bit like the Titans.
Well, it's kind of greedy. Tom Moore told me that one day. He's like, everything's gotten greedy. Everybody wants to be greedy. Like college sports is greedy. Everybody wants to be greedy. And like, I don't know. I just, I was going to ask Danny what I asked y'all yesterday about
in fact, he's ready. He's on with us. Okay,
Perfect.
so let's bring him up. I can't tell. I don't know if he's at a ballpark or if that's just a nice backdrop. Danny Evans, you are here, and that makes it a good day.
Apologies for being late. I was having a little technical problem. And part of the idea, George, is so you don't know if I'm at the game or not.
Yeah.
But if I was at this game, I'd be in the middle of the diamond, and I think it would be all over the internet right now.
Wrigley Field.
You betcha.
The best. That in Fenway. So, okay, you know where this is going. You've been around.
Yeah, you want to talk about the popcorn at PNC Park. I get it. No problem.
I really don't. So I said it before you came on. I happen to think Alex Anthopoulos is the very best general manager in baseball. In my mind, his brilliance won them the world title 2.5 years ago. The fleecings that he did. I'm convinced that Liberty Media has put the kibosh on just about anything. And as the good company man, he's taking the hit for the fact that as I look at them, Danny, they're at least one starting pitcher short. They're at least one good reliever short. And they might as well play you in the outfield for what they're throwing out there right now.
Well, George, you know what? One of the things, I mean, I have no idea what's going on, but when you're the leader of a baseball operations group, you have to manage up as well or better as you manage down. And every one of the 30 general managers has to do that. You know that coming in, you sign up for that. It's just like, some of the major business people in the Nashville area. I mean, you're accountable to your bosses. So if there is something going on, you'll never hear about it from a really good general manager. But to look at last night's game, it's really kind of indicative of what's happened in the first week. First of all, they played the two hottest teams in baseball, the two undefeated teams as their first two opponents. That wouldn't be good for anybody. But George, didn't you feel it in the sixth inning last night when they left the bases loaded that they needed those runs, had nobody out and the bags juiced, and they didn't get another run? And I said at the time, you're going to look back at that. The following inning, they had the same problem. And one thing against a good club, if you don't tack on more runs, that number becomes a fixed number and momentum does get affected. I thought they lost that game in the middle innings of the game.
Danny, for me, it felt like I was sitting in the electric chair because I knew it was a matter of time before the governor said, go ahead and knock him dead and let's turn the voltage on. And against the Dodgers, if you think you're going to win that way, have a nice day.
Well, it's one of the elite organizations in the modern era, and in the expansion era, this might be one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. This team didn't need to get out to the start they're out 8-0 for us to, deem them that good a club, George. But what we saw last night is just a relentless grind. Remember when Muncy punched out? I think it was the fifth or the sixth inning. It was still a really good at bat. Two innings later, he has a big at bat again. And I think it was because he just saw some good pitches and had a good vibe. But when you get that big guy up in the final inning, it's not good for the other unit. I mean, he's one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And on his bobblehead night, I mean, it's so poetic that he would answer the phone the way he did.
So, Danny, let me ask you this, and this has got nothing to do with the Braves, but if this Dodger run at getting anybody and everybody that's good leads to, let's say, back-to-back world titles, is this going to force the union into a salary cap?
No, I don't think so. I think, I mean, we have a guy here who, am I right, Kelly? You wanted to play for the best team. You wanted to win. And, if you have an opportunity to win, a lot of players will take less money to be in an environment that's not only a winning environment, but it's an elite environment. They have great core players who are better human beings. I mean, it starts with Kershaw, Betts, Ohtani, Freeman. These are people that, you'd like over at your house for Thanksgiving dinner, but they're also elite performers who have won. No, I don't see that, George. What I see is a model for other organizations to mimic and copycat and say, wait a second, they're not doing it with the most money. They're doing it best allocating their resources. I mean, George, they're drafting in the last 5 for the last 10 years. Their international pool is among the smallest in the game on an annual basis. Yet, despite all of their trades, they keep coming up with guys who are guys. I mean, look at the left-hander who came in last night. He's a great story. Undrafted free agent, getting guys out at key times of the game. That's great scouting. That's great player development. I find fault with people who say they're buying their way because they're most assuredly not. They're making better decisions than anybody else in the sport. and people want to be a part of their team.
Obviously, for the Braves, you got Spencer Strider, who looks like he comes back toward the end of April, and then Acuna at some point in May. Do you think they can turn this around, or is this a little bit like the Preds, who mathematically were over at Thanksgiving?
You know, Kelly would know this better than the two of us. This is where the clubhouse, this is where the leadership of the team is not from the coaching staff and the manager. It's the best players. It's the veteran players staying on top of the situation, not allowing guys to get in the doldrums. George, I'll say this, and I don't want to make an excuse, but I've been in their shoes, and when you play the first 10 days of the season on the road, it's rough. I mean, you've already been away for 2 months. It's not easy. And then when you play those two clubs, I mean, George, they're unbeaten teams that they've played. I think with the extra wild cards, I think what we're seeing right now, and I know you see the same things I do. People are saying no one's ever been 0-7 and made the postseason. The postseason is so different now with the 3 wild cards. You couldn't qualify a few years ago. They have 155 games to go. If they end up with 83 to 86 wins, they're going to have a legit shot. Now, I thought they'd win the division, and they still might. But when you only take a sliver of the season and you overreact, that's when you have a problem. And that's when the clubhouse overreacts. Kelly knows if you overreact in the front office, the players feel it. And the players get tight and the players respond. This is one of those situations they're lucky. They've got a hell of a manager and a coaching staff and a really good nucleus who've been through some things. This is when you need to start taking days one day at a time, start creeping back. George, you know what? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, almost no chance to come back.
Right.
Now, because of who they are and the players that they're going to get in the next month, if they just tread water for a while, they'll rid that stench out of their system. I'm telling you, when it was 5-4 last night, I'm watching and I'm going, I know what they're thinking. What's going to happen tonight? Because that's what happens to all of us when things start to plummet downhill. This is a really good club, and this is when your core is really tested. I'll take my chances with this core of players and these people that are leading.
I want to be wrong on this. I need a quick answer. Then I'm going to go to the break and we'll get some sanity with Kelly. When I say I think even when Strider's back, that they're a starting pitcher short and they're a good reliever short. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but I think you always need to get better in your rotation, George. There's always going to be injuries. I know you wanted me to keep it short, but one of the worst things about baseball is you have a very tenuous hold on your pitching staff. So you're always looking to get better. And my guess, they will get better, but the current group has to improve and has to start winning some games.
Okay, let me throw this out here as we go to the break. Danny and I have not yet figured out what will be the permanent day that we have him on. Who's to blame? You're looking at him, me. But he and I will figure this out next week because, number one, we love talking baseball with him. And based on all the phone calls a year ago, you all do too. After the break, Kelly Holcomb with Danny Evans. At least this is one thing today that we can smile about on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are back for another fun season of football. The first home game is Saturday night, March 29th at 5 p.m. against the Albany Firebirds. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket. The Predators win! Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go, Preds!
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
Sports live here on ESPN 94.9 and the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
On a day where we're all worried about tornadoes and all the stuff weather-wise that we got last night, and we're worried there's more of it coming. By the way, it's pouring here in Bellevue right now. There is one piece of sunshine, and it sure as heck isn't Kelly Holcomb.
Hater.
Oh,
That's a heck of an introduction, Kelly. Wow, I want to see how you handle that one.
I mean, George is a hater. He's always a hater. He's hater every day,
No.
Danny, and he gets mad at me because I hate on him with his picks at the end. You know, plaster bet of the day, which he's been losing quite a bit, which is quite enjoyable to me. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, but who notices that, right? Not us,
Nice
right?
teammate. Nice way to rally around your people. Anyway,
Kyle.
sunshine on the right is Danny Evans, and now Nick Hunter. Kelly was nicknamed by me the Prince of Darkness. The two of y'all would have gotten along great.
So, Danny, I don't know if I'm barking up the wrong tree here. I may be with you. I don't know. But, like, I've been thinking about it, and this is kind of like the question of the week. It seems like I have a question of the week for everybody. It just, like, encompasses everything. So, Shohei got a big contract last year. We just saw Juan Soto getting a big $765 million contract. And you look around at what's going on in our country, and I get it. The NIL with college kids, I understand all that. But how much is enough? Like, we're going to get $1 billion contract at some point. And I love sports, man. I was blessed. I played it for 13 years. I played it longer than that. I love sports, and I know it's important to our country, but, like, it seems like it's at a tipping point where people are going to start saying, like, let's time out for a second. This stuff is getting outrageous, and it has been getting outrageous. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I worry about all of sports with fans saying, you know what, I love it, I've been around it my whole life, but I'm tired of dealing with all these guys that are making all this money. And then you get, and you look at the teachers, and you look at the police officers, and you look at the firemen, and they get paid nothing, and they do such a yeoman job. And I don't know, it's starting to bother me a little bit. And I understand, hey, the money's out there because of TV, putting people in the seats. But just what are your thoughts on that?
Hey,
that's a heck of a good question.
Before you all answer, we got a tornado warning in Murray, Rutherford, and Williamson County. This is a radar indicated tornado, possibly, and the warning is until 4:15. Go.
Good luck to everybody. I live in a tornado prevalent zone here in Iowa, so I know the fear you're all having, and I wish you all the best. Kelly, you know what? Coming from a middle class background, coming from a family who my dad was in the Chicago Fire Department, I get what you're saying. It goes to the core of who I am. But I think, the key for me is we are in a society where stars get paid, whether it's the movies, whether it's a concert, whether it's a sports event. I mean, I've had some great musical acts that I've said no to the last few years because I didn't think they were worth their ticket price. And then I had others that I said, oh yeah, I'll do that in a heartbeat. I think we're getting to a point as a consumer that we're making decisions based on what is worth my dollar. With the tariffs going on, people are going to do this even more so because our economy is going to get hit. And I think what we're doing as consumers is deciding, who do I want to see? Now, George hit on something last year, and we all had fun with it, but I think George had a real salient point. You have to be able to watch games for your favorite team, your favorite sport, or you start to go away. You start to lose interest. And I think it's really important for baseball, along with the other sports, to not lose sight of that fan who can't go to the game, maybe can't afford it, maybe they can. But the only way that they're going to keep their fan base is by giving them access to watching games on TV. I mean, I watch Steph Curry every game he plays. And one of these times he comes to Minneapolis, I'm going to go because I think he's worth X amount of dollars. But when you don't have that, I think, gravitational pull, for me, every at bat Ohtani has, I get a notification. I watch it. And I don't watch it because he's making X million dollars a year. I watch it because he's a superior athlete. And I think as a sports consumer, when they don't intrigue me and they don't broadcast, they lose me.
I got you. That's what I wanted. And this is another one. I just now thought of this, but a couple of weeks ago, my son, he was home and he had a little injury in his back, so I took him to get dry needled, and we took him to the guy that I know is in a training facility, 15 miles from here, and it's a baseball training facility, and they had guys that I guess were homeschooled, but they train all day, and they got kids from Czechoslovakia, they got kids from Sweden, they got kids from all over, and you talk about it being an international sport. And I was just asking him some questions, and I asked him like the comparison of the foreign players to the American players. And here's what he said. He said these foreign players come over here and man, they work their tail off. They're focused, they're in it. They got a desire to do it. That's what they want to do. And he's like, these American kids that are in this same situation, they're like, if I do it, it's that way. Are you seeing that from a standpoint? I don't know if you're around that much, or I know international baseball. Hey, they get people from everywhere now, but it just seems like those kids want it more, from what he was saying, than the American kids.
George, are we all right with the tornado situation? Can I go ahead? I'm all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You know, Kelly, I think one of the really fun things about the game is its explosive growth globally. More than 21 nations are on major league rosters right now. 40% of the players in major league organizations are international. So 60% are still domestic. We have a draft that's, much shorter than it's ever been. I think when it comes to character, desire, I think we're always going to have outliers that don't have the same energy. That happens at Walmart, that happens at your local grocery store, that happens at shoe stores. There's always going to be people who don't have the same drive as they should, and they're going to get passed in the left lane by people who give a darn. And they're going to get passed because they're not getting better. I don't think it's necessarily the domestic player, but I think it's how a kid is raised and how hungry the kid is to be good. If you're complacent about being a good high school player, well, then you don't have any reason to go the extra yard. But I think kids who come from other countries tend to have a goal that's a little more elite than some of the other kids because they are really, they're focused on being in the big leagues. And I think what we also know is when you're playing for a whole country, you also feel the pressure and the expectations, and you don't have heel drag. You don't have downtime because you feel the pressure of everybody nudging you and everybody's shoulders lifting you up. I think baseball is a survivor game. It's a character game. We play way too many games to get by solely on talent. You have to have drive and desire. It's like the guy who's working a 70-hour work week. Do they have bad days and bad hours? Yes. But the good ones push through it. People out here that are listening right now that have their own business, sure, there's days you don't feel good. But those are the days you find out how professional you really are. And those are the days that players get better or get worse.
Still good, George?
Yeah.
All right. Balls and strikes. What do you think about the balls and strikes deal? There's every year there's rule changes, and it seems like even the NFL, like they're doing a new way with the first downs and the chain gangs and all that. And it seems like artificial intelligence is coming into everything, which I don't know how I feel about it right now. But do you like the balls and strikes with the replay and those guys getting to tap their head and see if it is?
I did in spring training. They're going to try to bring it into the game as early as next year. I actually liked it in spring training, and every player who plays in the big leagues played with that in the minor leagues, Kelly. So they're all used to it. I think we found out in spring training it doesn't really slow the game down. There's a nice pace to it. I'm a bit of an AI geek. I use it all the time. George teaches me a lot of stuff, a lot of AI stuff, and he's constantly barraging me. But very candidly, I really am a techie AI guy, and I love getting it right, not only from a decision-making standpoint, but as a fan, I want to see it gotten right. And if that helps us get it right, I'm all for it down the line.
Okay. I think we're done for today. But Danny, you and I will figure it out next week. We'll come to a meeting of great minds, come up with a day this works for you, and then get the phone calls rolling as well.
I love it. George, I'm going to have some fun this weekend. I'm going to the Pittsburgh to see the Yankees and the Pirates play as part of a Sabre board meeting, and to see those two of those games at one of the greatest ballparks in the world. Pretty darn excited.
You got that right. It is maybe the most underrated great park in our country.
I love it. I love that place.
Enjoy. See you soon.
Thanks to both of you. See you guys.
See you, brother.
Danny Evans, he is a ray of sunshine that frankly right now we need. So let me tell you what I think I know. And what I think I know is based on that TV over there that I keep looking at. It looks like they are really into something around Spring Hill. The tornado warning until 4:15 is Murray it is Rutherford, and it is Williamson counties. What I'm looking at seems like a bunch of rotation south of Franklin towards Spring Hill, right on I-65. Billy, you see anything different?
No, it's rolling right through us right now and going all the way through Nashville. So luckily Kelly's not getting anything, but we're
Well, I mean, it looks like it's coming my way though when I'm looking at the radar. Good gracious.
Yeah.
That's a little scary.
Okay, if there's any more during the show that we need to break into, we will. After the break, we'll go stat of the day, which will probably be a disaster. Then Kerry Keating will join us with some interesting stuff about the Final Four. And then at 4:20, a little weather and how it merges with sports talk. This is 94.9, The Fan.
Your Nashville Sounds continue their 6-game series tonight in Gwinnett. Pre-game at 5:50.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan and the Game Nashville app.
This is Joe and Q.
I'm convinced that the Dallas Brass, when they wake up in the morning, it's the start of their life every day. And they get a briefing. It's like, hey, you're alive. Your position in this world is owner of Dallas Cowboys. And then it's like, oh my God, that's awesome. And they go out and they just shotgun comments all over the place. And then they go have some drinks and, enjoy their life, go to bed, and then wake up the next day and start all over again.
Joe and Q, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
It's Larry from Shelby, previously on the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Chris is up next. I'm making these old geezers get chill bumps again. We're bringing the energy back. That's what these young callers do. You got everybody got excited again, making good calls. Squirrel ain't made a good call in 19 years. He made a good call the other day.
The Paul Feinbaum Show, weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and on the SEC Network.
Earlier on Clinton and Friends.
Sean Farnham here joins us on the line, an old friend of the show. One-word answer, please. Did you get the dunk down on your birthday, your most recent one?
Yes.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate your time. Ending on a solid note. That's quality.
All right, you guys are good. You guys are good people. Thank you for covering sports the way that you do.
Thank you, Sean Farnham.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. This is Freddie and Harry.
So let me get this straight. This is success like the tush push with the Eagles. But let's take it away because you can't do it better than they can. Because believe me, it comes right down to it. If you don't want the tush push in football, be better on first and second damn down if you're a defense. If you don't want the Yankees to torpedo the ball at the ballpark, stop throwing pitch in the middle of the plate. It's not that hard to do something like this.
Check out more from Freddie and Harry weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
This week's Nashville's Best Deal comes from Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, downtown's largest axe throwing venue and your go-to spot for food, fun, and vibes. Enjoy panoramic views of the city, a killer soundtrack, craft cocktails from the full bar, and a Northwoods-inspired menu with a southern twist. Whether you're throwing axes or just throwing back drinks, Bad Axe has something for everyone. This week, score half off a $50 gift card, only while supplies last. Head to 949thefan.com/deals and grab yours now.
All right, welcome back in on 94.9 The Fan. We are in a weather alert. So what you're hearing on the radio right now is the Fox 17 weather alert, and we'll be sent right back to the radio as soon as we do. So just stay tuned for that. We'll be on the podcast here for now. But we do have Stat of the Day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right. Here's what we got today. If I'm not mistaken, we're going basketball if I can ever find this. Oh, no, we're going baseball. All right. Which pitcher has thrown the fastest pitch this season?
Oh, wow. You know, it's interesting because the picture you've got is Aroldis Chapman. And when Aroldis Chapman was at his absolute peak, I saw him one night throw in the ninth inning. I was sitting behind home plate. He hit 104 on the gun. And I remember looking at the group that was with me, and I was like, I've never seen that before. I've seen 98 any number of times when I did minor league baseball. Never seen 104. This is a big stall as I try to think through what short reliever might have come in and just hauled. This is not.
It is a reliever, you think, George?
Oh yeah, I do think it is. Is it, Billy? Let me ask that question.
Let me check.
Because some names I'm thinking of, Gratterall might be one of them who just came in and threw BBs. Ryan Helsley with the Cardinals might be one of them.
Yeah, he's a relief pitcher, and he's very young. He was actually not too long ago pitching in college.
I mean, he's a starting pitcher, though. I was going to say Paul Skeens.
No, because I
No.
I think this is a reliever who just comes in for one inning and unloads the tank. If I'm going to guess, it's the kid in. You know what? I like the caller's guess, Ben Joyce from the Angels. I was going to go with the A's closer, who suddenly his name I can't remember. Lay it on us. I think this guy's right.
It is Ben
Nice.
Joyce.
Well done.
Ben Joyce.
Thank you.
Nice. 103. Golly, man, that's smoking. I am not getting, like, I used to play baseball back in the day, and I am not getting in the batter's box with that. I'm just not doing it.
Joyce go to Tennessee?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and he's thrown the fastest pitch in college, and the softball pitcher has thrown the fastest pitch for softball in college.
Let me also say this. When you see this kind of stuff, this is what's causing all these Tommy Johns, in my opinion.
Joyce, he didn't throw. He was sitting 92, 93, 94, then had Tommy John, and then came back and just started lighting it up. So, you know, that's I guess that happens sometimes with these guys that come back after the surgery and they start humming it.
Look, I worry about that with Strider. He's a tremendous talent, but it feels to me like the human arm was not meant for this.
No, but Kelly's right. I mean, you know, guys now, they're almost all throwing 97, 98, these starters in the big leagues. I mean, I remember seeing 990 I was like, whew.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine being up there 99, 100.
So
I think with all the arm load that these guys are doing young in their life, George, like they're constantly pitching, man. Like you got to let your arm rest. Like I was talking to the same guy that I brought up earlier. I was talking to him this morning. And he was like, "Can you go back and play?" And I'm like, "I can't even throw a football anymore." Something that I did for a living. My shoulder is shot. Every time I try to throw a football, it pains me to no end. I just can't do it anymore. And I just think that these parents are getting these kids all these training lessons. They throw all the time. They never have any time off. And I think that's coming to roost with some of these guys that are in the big leagues.
If you have come over to watch us on the podcast, because apparently they've gone to weather coverage on 94.9, thank you. I think we probably need to go to what officially is the 4:00 hour. We welcome all of you into the 4:00 hour officially from our digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. I never thought of Kerry Keating as Mr. Baseball. I always thought he knew more about college basketball. He's the former head coach at Santa Clara. Before that was an assistant both at Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Those who are watching by way of podcast are going, what is that team you're coaching?
This is the Raleigh Franciscan School T-Wolves middle school baseball team. And what's interesting about this, George, is they actually play on 60-90 measurements, which is insane for middle schools. But it makes for some fun baseball and actually gets a little purity. We are going to throw a bunch of torpedo bats out there today and give them a run and see if we can have some success and ship them down to Atlanta for the Bravos to use, because they sure as they need to win right now.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a cheap shot. You and I have been down there before in better times than this. Okay, so let's get to the basketball. You are wired into college basketball like very few people. In your opinion, is 4 number 1 seeds making it good for the game?
Yeah, it depends on the day. I think it's good because it sets a very high bar, obviously, into what we're looking to get done here, which is have the best teams play at the end of the year. I mean, let's face it, the tournament has always been that way. Very rarely do you have a Cinderella make it all the way to the finals. You talk about Butler, Seton Hall back in '89, my alma mater made a magical run. Obviously, George Mason in 2006 has an 11 seed to the Final Four. It's really, really hard for those teams to break through. So you want the best of the best at the end of the season so you have the best product. From a fan's point of view, probably not. I think from a basketball point of view, yes. And I think that'll be on full display this weekend. We're going to have some really high-level games on Saturday. In particular, and paying attention here locally to obviously to what Duke is going through and get ready for Houston. I'm really excited about that game. And for everyone in SEC country, just have another game on the schedule for the SEC with Florida and Auburn. And expected to have more of that to happen, and maybe even 3 teams or 4 teams make the SEC second tournament this year. But nice to see Florida and Auburn break through and have a chance to play each other again.
Kerry, as you know, this has caused a little bit of a rush to judgment of people saying, well, this is one of the byproducts of the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff. And I don't know if it's too early or not, but you know better than I do. What do you think? Is this now the way it's always going to be?
Yeah, this is just a new way. It's a change. It's a change to what we've been accustomed to for a very long time, and obviously had a lot of success with that, both as from a basketball standpoint, but also from a fan standpoint, from an engagement standpoint. March Madness has become synonymous with anything else that's going on this time of year. It dominates the month. It's called March Madness for a reason. Hopefully we can still find a way to hold on to the tournament aspect of it, because I do see there being a growing chasm, obviously, between the haves and the have-nots. This is going to come down to finances and who's more well off and to be able to spend money on players. This is not so much of an NBA minor league or even the G League, but it's just a new way of doing business. It's a way that's probably long overdue to have the players compensated in some form. It may be a little bit of mismanaged in the beginning to have some sort of a level playing field, but I think eventually you'll find a salary cap, you'll find a collective bargaining agreement, you'll find a different league, but you'll still have, the college affiliations intact. It may look a little bit different, it may feel a little bit different, but I think we'll still hopefully hold on to this excitement that is March Madness, which at the end of which will produce the best teams to have a national championship every year. It is a shift, George. It's just something that I think us as fans and as players, as coaches, going to have to get accustomed to and used to. And for the coaches, they're going to have to make a little bit of a shift in how they coach their teams too, because the relationship building is very different now than it used to be, even as far back as 5 years ago, let alone 15 years ago. The loyalties are different. The familiarity with players are different. It's just a shift and an adjustment that fans and alumni and students are going to have to get used to as far as supporting their teams go.
Do you think we're headed, if this is the case, toward a second March Madness tournament for the mid-majors?
Yeah, they've always talked about this. The top 80 teams for years, this is a decade-long deal. I've always talked about separating themselves because there's a bigger piece of the pie for them. Whether that forces the next tier to have a tournament, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to go about this. Obviously, the relegation way that the Premier League goes through, where you can have yourself relegated in and out of the ability to be in the tournament, is certainly one way to go about it, and not one that's really been talked about that much yet. Whether it means we have a second tournament for what will now become the tier 2 teams. I just don't know how logistically that takes shape in terms of media coverage, in terms of what we're accustomed to with the 3 weekends, and obviously the first one in the second round being the most fun and the most upset-ridden one. This Crown tournament that's happening in Vegas now could kind of set the stage for networks and TV affiliations with conferences to have some sort of meaningful basketball. I don't know if that'll get attended to until they really figure out the timing of when players can move from one team to another. I don't think we'll ever get to where the NBA is at in having free agency during the season, or trade deadlines or transfer deadlines during the season. I hope that they'll still keep it intact so that it's a season by season, not a week by week or month by month deal where guys are actually leaving. And again, that could happen. But I think it certainly could lead towards some other teams figuring, you know what, it's in our best interest to have a separate tournament away from the big boys, something that can generate a little bit of revenue and obviously some interest and maybe some more fan and alumni engagement.
Kerry Keating joining us here on the show to talk Final Four. So let's kind of go to the one that's close to you, and it's the late game because it feels like the marquee matchup. In your opinion, can Houston put a level of athleticism on Cooper Flagg that he has not seen and make life difficult for him, thus giving Houston a lot better shot to win?
Yeah, if folks out there want to head to my Twitter feed at Kerry Keating 3, I actually did a little bit of a video breakdown on this and the ability that Houston has defensively to potentially put Cooper in difficult positions. It's going to be a little bit of a chess match between Kelvin and John to figure out how to get their offense on the Duke side flowing against Houston's defense. Houston, to the untrained eye, may look undisciplined on defense at times, where they almost clog the lane and overhelp, and that's really not the case. They're just strong and quick and athletic and very knowledgeable about how they're defending. They will clog the lane, and where Duke has had success of getting Malawach on downhill rolls. I pulled out 3 clips in the Alabama game from the Elite Eight. It's 3 different players on the Duke roster, and Proctor, Knipple, and Flagg all throw downhill in the lane lobs to Malawach. That's not very common. Obviously, he's one of the factors that makes Duke the most, if not the most prolific offensively rated team in this statistical era. The thing about Houston is they're probably the best defensive team that Duke is obviously ever going to face, and for good reason. Duke will have to find alternative ways to get guys downhill because Houston will do their very best to disrupt the flow of that offense with heavy ball pressure and with some probably backside switches and pre-switches, some hard hedges, some soft, I would say some quick double teams, not soft, but just quick show double teams. They love to tag and be physical on the backside and the weak side. I have a feeling this might set up for, if it's not Proctor as the 4th option for Duke, that a guy like Isaiah Evans, who can make a shot, and not a lot of people around the country are familiar with him, he can really shoot the ball. He might find himself in a position to be that guy to make 2 or 3 big-time threes that could be the difference in this game for Duke, because I think Houston's going to do everything they possibly can to negate the effectiveness of Knipple and Flagg as ball handlers, Malawach as a roller, and I think they're going to out-physical and take advantage of Proctor on the offensive end, because Proctor is Duke's weakest defender of the 5. And let's not forget something else about Houston, George. They're the #1 3-point shooting team in the country. For a defensive-minded team to be able to shoot threes at a 42% clip means 2 things. 1, they're going to get 3 instead of 2 out of those 4 to 10 shots. 2, it also gives them a chance to set their transition defense, which is exactly where this game is going to start. In transition, dictating a pace, getting Duke to get below the 15 or 14 second mark in the shot clock, and then winning the rebounding battle. Something else about Houston, too, that I think I've come to find and really appreciate, they generate 12 to 15 second chance points for themselves. This really is going to come down to an old school. Can you dictate tempo? Can you pressure the ball? And whoever rebounds more is going to win, because these are good shot-making teams. Houston's not known for that, but look at the stats. Duke is known for that because they have 3 pros playing in the middle of their 5-man offense. I think it sets up for an unsung hero from Duke to potentially be the difference in this game.
The book on Houston the past few years was, they play great defense and their effort is unquestioned, but they'll go through stretches where they can't hit the broadside of a barn. Did Sampson simply luck into better shooters, or was it okay, I've rammed my head against this wall, I got to have some offense?
Well, now I think this is one benefit of the transfer portal that Kelvin's taken advantage of. You can find someone who has made shots at a high level and certainly has played at a high level, and that's LJ Cryer from Baylor. Here's a guy that was, counted on by Baylor to play in the national stage at the end of the season, a guy that fits in perfectly to the mantra and the mindset of Houston, and a guy that can make shots. It's freed up the other guards to be able to make shots too. I mean, they don't go very deep in their bench because they do obviously play at a dictated tempo, the fifth slowest team in the entire country, not the tournament, the entire country by pace. And although Duke is not crazy fast like Alabama was, there was a 14 possession difference between Houston and Alabama in possessions per game. There's only about a 5 or 6 different possessions per game difference between Houston and Duke. The Houston guards have become super efficient at making shots and being patient. It puts a lot of stress on the team like Duke if they're getting those shots towards the end of the clock. Very rarely will you see Houston shoot in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. If they happen to pull one of those off and kind of sneak one of those in, it's a bonus. But I think to your point, George, I think Houston's done a great job of identifying the proper guy in the portal to add to the guys they already had, and that's LJ Cryer, who kind of unlocks everything for them.
Last thing on my end, and then I'm going to turn it to Billy. I've come to the theory that Auburn refound the joy, the passion, the swagger, if you will, last weekend, about midway through the Michigan game, and it carried over. You buying that?
Yeah, this is the genius of Bruce Pearl. I mean, obviously we know that firsthand from his time in Tennessee, and he's very outlandish and to be honest with you, has found an unbelievable motivating factor as the #1 overall seed in the tournament, but now the 4th highest thought of team in the Final Four. I don't know how that happened or how that turned around, where they're the #1 overall seed, but everyone has them as the 4th best team in the Final Four right now. And that's relatively speaking when you have 4 1 seeds of this ilk and obviously rated as where as they are. The tournament's a funny thing. I mean, you go game to game, you go weekend to weekend, and having been in 2 staffs that took, 2 teams to the 3rd weekend and one of them to the last game of the season, you really do treat each weekend as its own entity. And maybe obviously each game, but each weekend, when you're a 1 or 2 seed, you're really just trying to get to that last step. But along the way, you're going to find yourself challenged. And I always thought that the tougher games for the higher seeds were the 2nd and the 3rd game. I remember the year at Seton Hall when we made the run in 1989. Our 2nd round game versus Evansville was way tougher than our 3rd and 4th round games versus UNLV and Indiana. Better teams usually find themselves in those modes once they get through that first weekend. I think getting through the first weekend, I was worried for Creighton, for Auburn, as far as Creighton was concerned. I thought Creighton could beat them. I thought Creighton had the size, the patience, the determination, the ability, the coaching acumen on the other side with Greg McDermott and 2 big-time players, obviously in Ashworth and Kalkbrenner, and a lot of guys in between to get them. Once I think they made it through that, I think they probably viewed the next weekend as maybe a little bit of an easier go for it because it's all downhill from there. Everyone knows what's at stake, and they get raised when you're in the Sweet 16. And I think you're right. I think they found something in the middle of that game that's put them into this weekend on a little bit of momentum, and obviously getting Broome back quickly from a potential game-ending injury, let alone season-ending injury, coming back, hitting a big 3, and then Bruce spinning the whole thing to like, hey, we're now the underdog. He finds himself as the 1 overall seed in this tournament against a familiar foe in Florida now in the SEC, going into it as the underdog. I think Auburn's got great momentum heading into the weekend.
You mentioned Broome, Kerry, and I think obviously his health is very important, but I do want to ask you, and he's obviously not at 100%, but say he gets banged up and maybe can't play as much as Auburn really needs him to play. Is Auburn in trouble in your mind? Like, how irreplaceable or important, really, I guess, is Johni Broome to Auburn? And is he a guy that you need to play, 30 minutes against Florida?
I don't know the intricacies of what the minutes breakdown will be, but I'll say this. When we got to our second Final Four, UCLA, and we found ourselves playing Florida again, the heart and soul of our team was the junior All-American Aaron Aflalo, our 2 guard. by far the guy that was the heartbeat of the entire team. I suspect that Janai has a little bit of this happening at Auburn as well in that same mode, albeit a different position. And when Aaron got his second foul early in the game, and we had an unfortunate out of bounds, he just wasn't ready and ended up grabbing kind of a cheap foul. We just all kind of got deflated. It was just inevitable. My point in that whole thing is that you want your best players on the floor as much as humanly possible. Yeah, you may trust your bench. You may have some guys that can do some things for 5-10 minutes, but you shorten that rotation if you can. You want to keep the best guys on. And let's face it, this is one of the two best players, not just in the league on his team, but in the country. This is a guy that has elevated Auburn to the #1 overall seed. Dynamic inside and outside, rebounding, ability to hit threes, score in the post. He's going to draw a lot of attention, obviously, from Florida, and they're familiar with that. But I think to answer your question, you need to do whatever you can to keep him on the floor. And if it's a situation where he's injured or banged up or can't go, even for some stretches, it's weird that the mental aspect of the finality of these games can take on your team, and 2 and 3 minutes can turn into 10 or 15. Next thing you know, it's over. And I'm not saying Auburn doesn't have the maturity to overcome that, but I think you have to do whatever you can come hell or high water to keep room on the floor at all times.
Walter Clayton's been unbelievable and has saved Florida really twice. The last couple of games for them, they've got really good players outside of him, but can he keep doing that? Can Florida continue to sort of play, hey, let's let Walter save us at the end, especially now that they're in the Final Four?
I hadn't really seen them play a full game during the season, and they were here in Raleigh in the regional. I went to go watch them play in person. I think it was their first round game. I'm amazed at his ability to make shots. I mean, just contested shots, contested threes, shots that don't look like good shots. When no one can be comparable to Steph Curry, but some of the ways he goes about hunting these shots down and taking these contested shots is not that he's on that level like Steph is. It just shows that he has that type of confidence, and the demeanor and the ability that Todd has instilled in him to take them and make them, and his teammates as well, is clearly on display. I mean, he took a shot, I think, to save him in the Elite Eight game. He dribbled out from a 5-footer to 24 feet, just turned around and shot it. I've seen that 1,500 times from Steph Curry. And again, I'm not comparing Walter to Steph Curry. I just think the impact that he has on his team is very similar to the impact that Steph has on his team for the Warriors. There's a confidence that team has when he has the ball in his hands, not just when they know he can make a shot but make the right play, but that he also draws a heck of a lot of attention from the other team. That's what we call gravity for Steph. I think Walter has that type of gravitational pull for the defense. That's going to be a big challenge for Auburn.
Okay, Mr. Baseball, who plays on Monday night?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm in a pool that promotionally was giving the winner a year's worth of bacon. That if Florida beats Houston, we will not be short on bacon in the Keating household. So I'm actually pulling for Florida to beat Houston as far as the pools go. I tend to think from the analysis point that I think that can happen, although I will say this. If I'm betting I'm picking Houston. I think if Houston makes the last game, I think they're there for a reason. This to me is the momentum that a semifinal team can bring into a final on a short turnaround, on a short prep, that I think benefits Houston more than Florida. I do think Houston and Florida make the finals. For the pork lover in the Keating family, I'll pull for Florida. For the purist in the basketball, I'll say Houston.
Well, if it works out, send me a grilled cheese with bacon.
Plenty of bacon for the tailgates this summer.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com. Franklin and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
I'm told we're back on radio as well as in podcast form. It was about 45 minutes ago that Kelly Holcomb was trying to ask our baseball man, Danny Evans, a question, and I butted in before he could get it out and said, hey, we've got tornado warnings in our area. At the time, it was a tornado warning until 4:15 in Murray, Rutherford, and Williamson counties. And about the time that you want to say, I am so tired of hearing about tornado warnings, then you have to take a little dose of reality. And we've got some film footage of a tornado in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And when you see this, you'll know darn well this is serious.
Tornadoes are scary, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no volume, George, so.
Yeah, so we're going to sort of describe it. once you put it up there. What we're going to show you is a viewer who sends this thing to a television station, and it is scary to say the least. We're in a little bit of a rain delay stall on this, but here goes. So, Kelly, I know you can see it, or at least I thought you could see it. Our best efforts on this may not have worked. Maybe it did, Kelly. I certainly, well, now you can see
there
it.
you go.
Kelly,
Yeah.
look at
Wow.
that thing. That is an apartment complex unit, it looks like, or small housing that is about to get obliterated.
It's just the force of Mother Nature, man. I told my wife, like, it doesn't matter if it's an EF1 or an EF5. If it hits you directly, man, you're in trouble. And look at it going towards those houses, George. It's just, that's scary.
It is scary. And it brings me back to where I was going to go earlier today, and kind of mixing a little sports talk and a little bit of weather. It was April 16th, 1998. I've done probably 10,000 of these kind of shows. And of the 5 that I will never forget, one of those is April 16th of 98, when the 2 tornadoes struck near downtown Nashville. And I have always said that if the second tornado had veered a little bit closer to the under construction football stadium, as opposed to kind of going toward Channel 5, I don't believe the Oilers would have ever moved here, because basically an under construction stadium would have gotten leveled. Anyway, this morning, about 1:45, like a bunch of you, I've got one of the phones that's got the updates, and it's an awful noise when it happens. It's one of these, and it sounds awful, and it just makes your blood curdle, but it also kind of forces you to say, okay, something's going on. So, yeah, no charge for the sound effect. Billy, what's the problem?
That sound effect was ridiculous.
Thanks. So back at 1:45 this morning, the whole thing, Kelly, is the whole problem seems to be centered in Perry County. Perry County is, if mile marker 196 is Bellevue on the interstate, 143 is that Lobelville, Waverly, Perry County. Well, Perry County is the home of a great friend of mine and one of the best basketball players Vanderbilt's ever had, in Mike Rhodes. Mike Rhodes and Charles Davis were nicknamed Town and Country, and I will claim that Mike Rhodes is the best pure shooter that I've ever seen at Vandy, and that's saying something, because over the years they've had some great shooters. So, Billy, get ready, because you know what I'm going to need here in a minute. So this is Selmer, Tennessee. And last night, all of this stuff starts in Selmer. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of Selmer. When Mike said this to me, I thought he was talking about Selma, Alabama. And I was like, there's no way. Well, it was Selmer. And all of it hit. The tornado dropped down in Selmer. And as you can see by that picture, it's a war zone. Well, I called Mike to say, are you guys okay? And the answer sort of was, yeah, none of it really touched down here. Although Mike told me that the tornado that did all this went straight over his farm in Perry County. And we were very, very lucky last night that a lot of the tornado warnings last night ultimately did not touch down. That thing in Spring Hill 30, 45 minutes ago, it touched down, and that's serious. So about the time, like y'all, I'm guilty as charged, that Saturday night they break into the Final Four and you want to scream at the TV and yell and go, how dare you take away my Final Four? You know what? Them breaking in probably saves lives.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it does.
Look at that thing.
That stuff's scary, man. It truly is.
I mean, when you look at that.
2:45, you get a call in the morning from your daughter, and she was like, she's trying to find out because she got that deal, and it was heading towards Green Hills and all that over towards Lipscomb, and it's scary, man. It's scary for her. So she had to get in the car with her roommate and her boyfriend, her fiance now, and head to Allen Arena, and I think the whole school was in Allen Arena.
So let me ask you all the question. Have you all physically seen a tornado, like been outside and seen one?
I never have.
Kelly?
I have, yes. Yes, I have. It was a couple of years ago, and we were heading towards Fort Worth, watching Jalen play basketball. They were playing TCU. And we were on the interstate, and we were literally, our phones were going off, and my wife was going crazy. And we pulled off on the road and went into a hotel. Everybody was outside. They were looking, went into the hotel, and my wife was, what's going on? Where is this? And the receptionist at the desk, she said, yeah, it's right over there. It's coming this way. Well, it veered off, but you could see the wall. You could see where it was going. I mean, dude, those things are massive and they're so destructive. And if they hit you, you're in trouble. I don't care how big or how small it is. If you get hit directly with one of those, I mean, it's scary. That's the first time I'd ever, you saw when I was here a couple of years ago, there was one road through Blackman, and you could see the wall, the cloud wall here. But that's, I pray that nobody gets hurt, man, because it's life changing. It takes, like, and you look at it, George, and they've got a house, and all of a sudden, all the things that you put, all the sweat and tears, and all the many years you've lived there, and all the money that you put into it, I mean, it can be gone just like that. And I mean, it's scary. So you just get down on your knees and pray, man. Pray to the good Lord above, and hopefully He gets you through it.
Because the people in Selmer didn't deserve that any more than we would deserve it. What's the difference?
Yep.
We got lucky last night, and they didn't.
Yep, that's true.
You
And
don't
the
know.
bad thing, it seems like the storm is going the same way. I mean, all those things that you were seeing on the TV last night, Santa Fe, everybody, they were calling it Santa Fe. I thought it was Santa Fe, but I guess it's Santa Fe. I don't know. And then it's going up through Hohenwald and all those, we talk about being tired of it, and I didn't get anything. Can you imagine how they're feeling? Because every couple of minutes, their phone's going off. And then Jalen kept asking us, can I go back? Can I go back? And my wife is like, right now they're forming behind you, so they're still coming. So, and my wife works with the guy, his company, and he's a pilot. And yesterday they get all the info about all these storms and things like that. And there were 52 tornadoes that were up in the air that never touched the ground. 52.
Unreal.
Crazy. Unreal.
So, Billy, you got something there?
Well, I'm kind of scrolling through Twitter. We've got a little something in Smyrna, in Wilson County.
Right, and they've been sort of saying Smyrna that there might be a problem there.
Yeah,
it does say
they've been in it all night.
It does say it's weakening as it moves into the cooler air in Wilson County.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break, and then I'm going to open up the phone lines for whatever you want to talk about, whether it's weather related, whether it's sports related, whatever. Jump in. I want to hear from some people. In particular, if there's somebody in Spring Hill who happens to be hearing this, or you're driving past Franklin and you saw something, I want to hear it. 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Billy, am I right? After the break, you're going to give us a totally different look at that tornado that touched down in Spring Hill?
Yes.
Okay. So those of you watching, by way of podcast, get ready because we got something that, again, will get your attention. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
The Nashville Cats are back for another fun season of football. The first home game is Saturday night, March 29th at 5 p.m. against the Albany Firebirds. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Here in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
Rock and Roll Nashville isn't just a race. It's the best way to experience this iconic city. We're giving you more music, more fun, and more reasons to run with us. Get immersed in music culture and join us for this legendary tour of Nashville.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Go to your phone call in just a minute. It was about an hour ago that I butted into Kelly Holcomb's question to Danny Evans to say, hey, we've got some areas of our listening audience now under a tornado warning. And unfortunately, one hit in Spring Hill. Here is a second different look at how that thing looked if you're watching us by podcast. And to say it is big and it is scary is an understatement. Wow. Tony in Nolensville, you're the leadoff hitter. Welcome.
George, that is scary, pretty scary. I was going to call and talk a little sports today with y'all, and I did have a question for Billy, but then I'm going to go back to something. Billy, there's been times where you've kept things to yourself and not share some inside info of what some knowledge you had, but did you know that Coach Derek was going to be stepping down at Nolensville when he did? And if you did, curious why you didn't share some of that.
We'll be having a staff meeting next week to discuss it.
I actually didn't know. I had no idea he was going to be stepping down. I knew that he lost his one of his coordinators, Coach Curran, who's actually my cousin. He's actually at Father Ryan. But I did not.
And he
know.
lost another coach that's going to be the coordinator at NBA, I believe.
Yes, I did not know he was stepping down. So I probably would have told you.
I didn't know. I've read a couple articles on it. Of course, being in Nolensville here and supportive of school, I didn't know if you knew. Guys, on the tornado bit, I was working for Metro downtown, the one that came through downtown back in the 90s. I've been at a Preds game. George, you might have been at the Preds game if you remember when they stopped play one night at a Preds game.
I do.
And I was at that game as well when they stopped the playing. But the one that I was in, Billy, you can look it up, probably capture a picture on this, is I was at the 1985, I believe it was 1985, the Tornado Iron Bowl. And it was unbelievable, guys. Tornado was hanging over Legion Field, was coming. They did not stop play. They put an advisory out over the PA, and everybody, not one soul was leaving the Iron Bowl. And it was raining so hard, and it went around the stadium that a lot of people nobody left a seat at all. And it was unbelievable. It's one of the most unbelievable torrential rains, severe winds I'd ever been at a football game. But it was the 1985. They called it, I believe, the Tornado Iron Bowl.
Yeah,
and,
we're trying to find some pictures
say that
of it.
again.
We're trying to find some pictures of it. My guess is
And
that the Alabama fans assumed that Bear Bryant would call God and say, "Stop this."
But it was unbelievable. And Bo Jackson did a run. You couldn't even hardly see him going down the field as he was running on a touchdown run. The field was just covered in rain. It was unbelievable. But I thought I'd share it with y'all. And, like Kelly said, I keep talking to the big man upstairs. I even included Lady Mother Nature. And I said, enough's enough. So give us a break. So hopefully we can get through this tonight and everybody stay safe. So, guys, I appreciate your show. Everything was good. George, glad to see Danny back with us another year. Talk to you.
Thank you. Let me get Clay real quickly. Clay, how are you?
George, how are we doing today?
It's a weird day.
George, let's go back to the start of the show, and you were talking about the Cowboys quarterback situation. I'm sure you remember, I'm a fairly passionate Cowboys fan, even though I like the Titans too. I can tell you the answer about Jerry Jones. It's either the fact that he's an idiot or he's had one too many facelifts, I think.
Well, he does appear to have had some facelifts. I don't think anybody would deny that.
By the way, I've now figured it out that Kelly never does come to the Ford Ice Center, does he?
No.
Nope.
No, we signed a long-term contract with Kelly
No
that he
wonder.
didn't have to do
No
that.
wonder he doesn't.
See, here's
No
the deal,
wonder he
Clay.
doesn't know how to
If I would have been there in person, they couldn't handle me after the show because I'd wear them out before and after. They can just handle me on the show. You see what I'm saying?
Well, to be a former football player, I think you're just kind of a wimp for not showing up for the show. You know what I mean?
I am. I've gotten soft over the years. There's no question about that. That's a point from you, Hoss.
Anyway, I'll touch on the weather. There was about 2:45. There was one. George, I told you, I live close to NBA, and there was one about 2:45. There was a warning, say it'll be close to Belle Meade. Well, that's right there, pretty much almost on top of me. And I pretty much did not go back to bed because my phone was going off and all this. And I mean, it was a long night, but hopefully everybody's okay. I heard about the terrible destruction in Selmer. I had not heard of Selmer, Tennessee either, George, but I have heard of Selma, Alabama, but not Selmer, Tennessee. But I heard that place just got flattened.
Yeah, we've got a picture up for those who are watching the podcast. It's really scary. Listen, I got a couple more on here that I want to get to. Clay, thank you for the call.
Have a great show.
Let me get to Eric in Nashville. Eric, give me a couple minutes if you can.
Yeah, George, I'll get real quickly to it. First of all, I've heard that there was like flooding in Green Hills, Belmead, West End area, Antioch, Murfreesboro, Mill Creek, all this stuff. So it's just real terrible. Hopefully be able to just get through all this. And two other quick sports things I'll get off. One, I was going to say, George, I got invited tomorrow for a presentation of the Titans about them trying to sell me season tickets. It's at 10 o'clock at the Wortham building by a guy by the name of Brandon Yunker. It's like an hour and 20 minutes long. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go and check it out and see what it's about. And also, when you were talking about baseball, I was surprised none of you guys asked Danny what his thoughts were on the whole Yankee thing with the Torpedo bats. I thought for sure somebody was going to ask him about that. Guys, yeah, I'll get off. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, we got him on about 10 minutes later than we thought. There's a picture, if you're watching by way of podcast, of the Torpedo bat.
Yeah, that was my next question.
Yeah. The time machine got us.
Yeah.
Let me get one last one in here. At least I think it's the last one. Frank in Smyrna, I don't think is in Smyrna, but Frank, thank you for the call.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I am still down here in Siesta Key, Florida. My wife and I fly back to Nashville Tuesday, and we'll be there a while. Although I did tell my daughter a while ago, with all these tornadoes up there, you know what? I'm about over dealing with it, having to deal with it. So I just may stay down here in Florida. I just, the older I get, now growing up in Tullahoma, sure, we had them. Kelly, you had them in Lincoln County. I mean, it's nothing we've never seen before in Tennessee. I distinctly and vividly remember April 16th of 98. I remember the Goodlettsville and Murfreesboro tornadoes on Good Friday, about 15 years ago. That was horrible. Just horrible. And, and this one here, my daughter would kill me, but I'm going to tell the story. I called her when you announced that warning, George, on air. I grabbed my phone and I called her. And I said, you get over to our neighbor's house and get in the basement. I said, this is headed right for our neighborhood. This is nothing to play with. Of course, she freaks out, goes nuts. She's 24 years old. I said, Hannah, gather, take your purse, your backpack, your computer, your shoes, everything. Go. Don't waste any more time. I'm yelling at her. Go. Quit crying and go. I said, is anything to play with? It'll be there in about 15 minutes. Well, thankfully, it lifted, and from what my neighbors said, you could see the dark clouds rotating, but they were not on the ground. And he said, honestly, I think it was falling apart as it hit Smyrna, because right after that, they discontinued the warning. So Smyrna dodged a bullet. Thank you, Lord. It's pretty scary, guys. You have a daughter, 750 miles away, holding the fort down, but having to deal with this. And I know I'm not the only one, but as a Kelly, you understand, as being a father of girls as well. It's just it's just something about it. And when they might be in danger, your fatherly protection modes like no, this is not going to happen. So, and I just told Hannah, look, I don't mean to scare you, but I want to keep you safe. That's my job. So anyway, and I was going to talk about sports. It's kind of trivial after what's going on in Tennessee the last few nights. But George, our Braves, oh boy,
skip it.
I don't even know where to start. It's Profar, you ought to have your butt kicked. The bullpen is horrible. I don't know, where do you want me to start? I think it'll make a difference when Strider and Acuna gets back. I hope so, but I don't know. I hate to say it's too early to panic, but I am concerned. But I will throw this tidbit out. I did throw my tickets for tomorrow night's game on a secondary market and got 75 apiece. So you can't tell me the fan interest is gone in Atlanta.
Wow. Interesting.
That shocked me. I put them up there just arbitrarily. It's opening night. Let's see what happens. Gone.
75 apiece. I like it.
75 apiece. And you know where my seats are. So anyway.
Thank you. I got to run.
All right. Thank you, George, for letting me talk. Have a good evening, guys.
Absolutely. You too. So let me leave it like this before the break. Yeah, we get on the weather people a lot. They're an easy target, especially when they miss. But the equipment that they are using right now, these TV stations, with these circular jobbies when it's got rotation, it's saving lives. And we ought to say thank you because the people that were on the air last night from 10:30 at night, until about 6 o'clock, keeping us safe, they did a hell of a job. I'll tell you who's not doing a hell of a job, and that's me. Plaster Bet of the Day. Talk about depression is coming up next on 94.9 The Fan.
It is game day, Preds fans. The Preds are in Dallas tonight, facing the Stars at 7 o'clock. Radio pregame coverage begins at 6.
Smashville lives here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Get your new Samsung appliances at Electronic Express and get a free 65-inch Samsung Smart TV. When you buy 2 or more qualifying Samsung appliances, you'll get a free 65-inch Samsung Smart TV. Upgrade your kitchen, laundry room, and home theater to create spaces you love. Want free shipping? We've got that. Expert service? We've got that. Up to 36 months free financing? We've got that too. Hurry. Shop in-store or at electronicexpress.com today.
The Nashville Cats are back with fun football action this spring. The Cats take on the Oregon Lightning this Friday night at Municipal Auditorium. Kickoff is at 6:30. Catch the live play-by-play action on 93.3 Totally Hits. For tickets, go to thenashvillecats.com. That's thenashvillecats.com.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Chattanooga and UC Irvine tonight in the NIT Championship in Indianapolis. You got something to watch tonight. We'll see where George is going. It's all brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look, though, what happened last night, and it was a push with Boise State -7. So they won by exactly 7.
100-93. I didn't get to see the game. I have no idea. I've watched Boise a bunch this year. They're a team that likes to play in the 70s. I can't imagine how it got to that.
A lack of defense.
Well, in fact, keep talking. I'm going to see. I'm kind of curious if it went to overtime.
So you were locked into the Weather Channel.
No, I was actually out. No, it was Butler and Boise had an over. Let's see. The over-under on that game was 153. So Vegas didn't see that coming either. 193 was the number of points. So, yes, I am going with UT Chattanooga tonight. Kelly, I am about 2 weeks late to their parade. I thought Dayton would beat them. They beat the hell out of Dayton. I thought UC Irvine would get them. I mean, not UC Irvine. Who'd they play?
Loyola Chicago.
Illinois. Thought they'd get them. They didn't. Screw it. I'm going UT Chattanooga. Go Mocs.
There you go. Mockingbirds, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. So I know you're not going tomorrow. We will be down at Municipal Auditorium. That's where our show will originate. I hope everybody is safe and sound tonight. Unfortunately, it feels like this stuff has gotten here about 3 hours earlier than they thought it would. and we can hear the thunder and the rumbling in this beautiful facility. Yeah. Yeah.
Stay safe.
Absolutely. Look, all of you, stay safe. Listen to the warnings because it can happen. Selmer is living proof of it. We'll see you tomorrow here on 94.9 The Fan.